Hi, welcome to XReality Podcast. I'm the host, Dominic Wu, and beside me is the guest, Yeray. Hi, Yeray. Would you share a little bit about your background with us?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me in the show. It's great and nice opportunity. So my background is as a software engineer. I was studying in Sweden where I met my CEO today,
Mm,
and his name is Charles Yusfi. He was a professor in the media technology department and also a visionary in
mm,
human-computer interaction. From the moment that Steve Jobs had launched the first iPhone, he already saw that the interaction paradigm will change. He already saw that hand tracking will become the next user interface. And years after, he started prototyping a new concept of a smartphone called G phone, the gesture phone,
mm,
which would be a device capable to understand hand gestures. And his vision was to make any device understand what we
mm.
humans are doing with the movements. In 2015, he asked me to join the company, which he named ManMotion, and asked me for help to build the next generation of user interfaces. So to me, it
Oh,
was a no-brainer. I had to become the first employee of the company and help him to turn
oh,
his research
hmm.
into reality.
Wow.
Our mission was to democratize intuitive and gesture-based interactions for any device.
Hmm,
Looking back today, I realized that I've spent about 10 years working exactly on the same thing, working with colleagues in computer vision, machine learning, and AI technologies,
hmm.
but also going around the globe as a product lead to represent the company and exhibit our different solutions.
Wow. So, wow, you've been working for that company, and can you tell us a little bit more about what do you think about the vision? And also, I understand that you start with G phone, right? So, what's the G phone about? And also, you mentioned like the tracking. So, is that G phone like iPhone? Yeah, I why it's called G phone?
It was, yeah, right. So it was called the gesture phone. It would be a phone that through the cameras would be able to understand the hands
Oh,
and trigger actions within the smartphone.
mm,
Pretty much mimicking the touch screen, but
mm,
using just the gestures through the camera.
wow. Oh, so you mean that using the camera, that sensor to understand the gesture, that's the main goal of that phone. Does that phone has any simple functions such as calling and also like download apps? Because I know like creating a phone in like in standalone product, like you see Apple has the entire
Yeah.
store and ecosystem. Do you just provide like something attached to the iPhone?
Okay.
It's like a
I
simple gadgets. Yeah, just
I
curious.
will I will step back. So he created the concept. He never managed to manufacture, but he
Oh,
saw that there would be something called like the G phone,
huh.
where gestures would be the main input. He never actually implemented it, but
Oh, okay. I thought
he
you've already developed that
no,
phone. I'm just
no,
curious.
no, sorry, no, no. We create the software that
Hmm,
adapts to any device through the cameras to understand what
hmm,
people are doing with the hands.
hmm. I see. I see. Okay. So, yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much for telling us those. And what do you see that, for example, like a XR through the smartphone? Because you mentioned that you start with phone and also start with more like a gesture. So, what do you see those combined together impact the XR?
Yes. So, well, we all know that XR is a potential technology that will become a mainstream in the future, but
Mm,
after so many years, it has been always taking off, but still it doesn't get there. So for us, we believe that we need to first make it possible for the end user to know what is XR, what are the capabilities, and so on, in order to understand the value and prove the reason why they should buy a dedicated hardware like a headset or smart glasses.
mm,
Especially when we look at the price points, it's still even though they are becoming cheaper and cheaper, the headsets, for an end user that doesn't know what XR is, even paying $400 or even less for something that they don't know what it is, it becomes kind of a big gap, and therefore their volumes are not growing in that sense.
Mm.
So we believe that enabling them to experience XR, even basic XR, through the smartphone can be a small step to introduce them into the world of XR and what are its capabilities. So that's how we think in the company.
Yeah, I see. I see. So you think that like a XR is considered like a niche and you will be kind of like a you using like a XR kind of like a for example like everybody since everybody has a phone, right? And XR can easily be displayed on the phone. So you think that is also a good
Yeah.
way of explaining. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not only us. I mean, Samsung did small steps a while ago, introducing this headset where you could plug in the Samsungs, and that could give you a headset per se using the
Mm,
smartphone.
mm,
And then what was lacking is, okay, the input methods, then you could
mm,
use some sort of controllers, but it was a little bit bulky and it didn't really take off. We believe with today's smartphones that are more powerful and today's technology, thanks to Unity, for example, that combines this AR Foundation plugin, where in iOS, in iPhones, you are using ARKit to understand the 3D room, its positional tracking, and AR Core
mm,
for the same in Android. Then you get this 6 degrees of freedom in the device, so you can place any virtual object in the space.
mm,
And then with our technology, with hand tracking, we use the same camera,
mm,
the RGB camera,
mm,
and then we share the camera for the AR Foundation to do the positional tracking, and then on top of that, we do the hand tracking. Therefore, a regular device becomes an XR device with
mm.
capabilities to understand the rooms and the hands. And then it's up to the developers to make any application that could be deployed into everyone who owns a phone today. So it's a pretty powerful tool, I would say. And it's all
Mm.
software based, no additional requirements.
So pretty much, you are a software, as far as I understand, a software APK or API,
Yeah,
SDK.
SDK.
Yeah, SDK. Once the developer install, they will be able to plug in into Unity and allow the hand tracking to be implemented through the final build and install on iPhone or Android phone.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Now I know. Okay, so what do you see like the current trend for the smart glass? I would say right now we start with like a smart glass since the display is a little harder to implement, but I know for sure that if you see Snapchat, right, spectacles, they start combine the kind of like the parts, right? Like I would say they are the display part. And if you see Ray-Ban right now, it's the AI part. So what do you see those like spatial AI? And especially a lot of people said that they will replace somehow or become dominant device and more than smartphone. Uh, as far as I know, a lot of people concerning that. Oh, and to be honest with you, long time ago when I was in kind of like a elementary school, I wear glass and I did like a LASIK to get rid of those. And how can that function become so good that people want to wear back the glass?
Yeah, interesting. I also had the same experience. I had glasses since I was a kid, and as soon as I could afford it, I also did the surgery. So, well, there is multiple factors here. It could
Mm,
be that in the future, for work-related tasks, you
mm,
may want to have additional information,
mm,
and especially XR combined with AI.
mm,
You could be doing your work
mm,
even if like even more when it is complex work and you don't understand your environment.
mm,
Imagine you will have an AI assistant telling you what you are supposed to do or what you are doing wrong, or if you are doing it fast enough
mm,
to complete your task, for example.
mm,
However, it is a little bit tricky because for the AI to understand everything that is in the camera view, it is complicated. That's where the hand tracking plays a role.
mm,
It is different if the AI can follow my hand
mm,
and we can have communication with the AI. Okay, what about this?
mm,
Then the AI will understand where you are looking and where you are placing the hand and give you feedback in real time.
mm. Oh, and the interesting thing that you mentioned that you use like a hand tracking and however, a lot of like a tracking system using eye because when you see something for a little bit longer, the device will know you're probably interested in seeing more about that information. Yeah, so do you provide like such as, for example, voice to AI or just uh voice or eye or just a hand tracking?
Yeah. So I guess in the ideal world, we have the all those interfaces. So it
Hmm,
is very important to know where the people are looking, what they are saying, and where they are interacting.
hmm, hmm,
But due to the limitations, the
hmm,
constraints that we have in the hardware, the battery capacity, and such, I think the minimal functional device, it should have a camera, of course, and it should
hmm,
have enough computational power to process what the camera is seeing and such. So I would say that the hand tracking plus a regular camera would be the minimal um, device that is needed out there. You can see the Ray-Bans is the most sold device in within the Meta products.
hmm,
And that explains the form factor being a limiting factor for XR to scale. But now it's proven that, okay, if you reach that form factor, we
hmm,
should be able to have a massive market.
hmm,
Um, yeah, so there is no preference on which one should be best. Ideally, we have all of them, but if we have to choose, I would choose just hand tracking because at the end of the day, we don't really interact with the eyes, neither with the voice. We interact with
hmm,
the hands. If we
hmm,
want the experience to be as close to natural as possible, it
hmm.
has to be with the hands.
Oh, I see. So you think that by understand the hand gesture, the device will know what you are looking for, similar to touch screen, right? Because I think the gesture is very similar to touch screen, that your hand directly interact with the screen, so screen understand you and make the right commands. And while you
Mhm.
gesture, you just not touching the screen but floating, doing something
Mm.
floating in the air, more three-dimensional, so use kind of like a thing that more like a gesture. So same as, for example, like in the future, perhaps I don't know about Orion, what's I haven't tried it, but as far as I know through all the trailers, it seems like there are a lot heavy hand tracking and same as like a spectacle from Snapchat, right? You use
Mm.
a hand and all those like a gesture control can also interact with the
Yeah.
product, right?
Mm.
Mm. Okay,
Correct.
cool. So what do you think, because you mentioned that the smart glass maybe, someday can kind of become like a dominant position as the smartphone. And what do you see the problem of current, for example, like XR? Because if you see the trend right now in America or in tech, a lot of companies switch their budget to more AI and less focus on spatial computing. And what do you
Mm.
see why XR? We keep saying that, oh, it's XR will be dominant. And now after 20 years, we still keep saying it. And AI, from nowhere becomes like I mean, not nowhere. We all always know that there is always something with AI. But I think ever since ChatGPT becomes the main thing, right? And now all the startup or all the everybody's chasing after AI and XR. Long time ago, I remember 2022, we had during COVID, we had a metaverse fever or like like a fever, right? Like everybody was like, oh, I want a metaverse for my business. But now what do you see that like a AR glass or XR becomes, later on, after AI that can also get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I think the AI has proven its value way faster than XR
Mm,
could do,
mm,
and also the technical limitations that we have today in hardware
mm,
and what is the end price for the end user to buy a headset.
mm,
If you count the value you are getting to play games or to do specific tasks, the value is still not there. Value versus price, I would say, is not there. AI is another game. It's directly providing way more content and more precise than, for example, when you compare it with the Google search, you have to do the search yourself, compare things, and it's way more attractive today, AI. So everyone wants to have everything in AI today, even when it's not needed, just
mm.
because it's trendy. And of course, all the, like Nvidia wants to sell more GPUs and so on. So
Yeah,
it's pretty heavy in that in that front. So it will take some time more for XR because we are still not there. There is still a lot of overheating problems, complexity when it comes to hardware and so on. So we have to wait for a little longer to see. But we're getting there. You see the progress Meta is doing is pretty amazing, and Snapchat as well with the spectacles. So it's a
yeah,
matter of time
yeah.
and find
I
ways
yeah.
to simplify the problem, I would say.
Yeah, right. I agree with you. For example, like if you see the Android XR, right?
Yeah.
I think how amazed that AI can remember and become your AI assistant through that glass. So I think maybe AI go first, and we can see a lot of creator tools such as 3D model generate through AI, animation generate through AI, voice over script, game mechanics, all those stuff are generated by AI. Those stuff are really, really good to have a starting point because I think the reason why there are not many, let's say, killing apps is because it's very hard to develop XR app, and it requires a lot of experts and 3D model. Let's say in 2D screen, if something was not good, it's fine. But if it is right in front of you, it has to be good. So the
Mm.
quality of the
Yeah.
game need to be so good.
Mm.
Otherwise, the player will get motion sickness. I think the bar is so high. But right now, I think by AI acceleration, oh yeah. So AI will kind of like lower the bar for the development and raise the higher quality to deliver the game.
Mm.
So I think that might also helps us to get in and create more. And when there are more apps, and let's say if one or two of them are killer apps, then more people might use it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need like the kind of Pokemon Go kind of applications, but more spread and
Mm.
more repeating cases of those to prove the value. Yeah, definitely.
Mm, yeah. And what do you see, for example, like the advantage of smartphone, and also how can we kind of like see the transition from smartphone to XR, the XR glass?
Yes. So the advantage of a smartphone is that everyone owns one today. So
Hmm,
it is pretty easy to just create an app that opens the camera
hmm,
through the Unity AI Foundation. It understands the 3D space, and then through our technology, it understands the hands, and then it's up to developers to create any application. It can
hmm,
be where the user is wearing the smartphone in one hand and the other hand is free to interact and do some basic XR, or it can be with like the typical Google cardboards to put it here and then you have no touchscreen to interact with. Then you have your free hands to do so, or it can be even in order to get reach the form factor. You can see these kind of glasses. They actually are just two displays and one camera.
hmm,
And then through the USB-C, it connects to the smartphone. So all the computing happens in the smartphone,
hmm,
but you have like proper displays in your front. I can imagine in the future buying my car and the car comes with an application in my smartphone and those glasses, and I can get tutorials and learn about the car while I'm inside the car wearing those glasses, interacting with my hands. If the car has a problem, I
mm,
can quickly open the motor and look through the glasses and have an AI assistant. Or if I
mm,
need a further assistance where I can do a remote call with someone else, and then he's seeing what I'm doing with my hands and such, and all of that being tracked, and that's
mm,
additional information that helps to solve those kind of problems and to provide a more immersive experience for those users.
mm. I see. So you think that for the gesture really helps kind of like a smart glass to understand like a doing what's the current behavior or doing that the player or the user is working on, so that can be
Yeah.
defined.
Yeah. It
Okay.
can be also, for example, I was thinking like for example, when you buy a furniture in IKEA,
Hmm,
then you get an instructional manual, and then sometimes
hmm,
you are even afraid to make a mistake because it can break.
hmm,
Then you are screwed in that sense. So imagine you have a tutorial where you put the glasses or a smartphone walking you through the steps. It
hmm,
can guide you if you're taking the wrong tool
hmm,
or assembling in the wrong order.
hmm,
So that's one. And the other one is when you want to disassemble it, there are no instructions to disassemble it. And probably you have already thrown those
hmm,
papers away. And then you still, here in Sweden, it's very typical to sell the furniture secondhand.
hmm,
So if you disassemble it wrong, then the
hmm,
furniture has lost some of the value. So imagine you have a tutorial in front of you showing you how to do it. Then we become greener in the sense that we produce less waste. There's more value on your
hmm.
furniture and so on and so forth. So yeah.
Well, so for example, like one of the I would say of the phone AR types of like tracking is I would questioning about like how you use it. For example, a long time ago, I work on a project called like it's kind of like athletes types of like a position tracking types of
Hmm.
things for the
Yeah.
user to learn how to do a signature kick or signature swinging the baseball bat, like those types of things, and you can learn. However, the thing about it is that you need two people. One person is holding the phone, the other person is going over there and um, do the thing, and the person who hold the phone need to tell that the person who actually perform it, because using AR overlay, right? And you need to say, oh, it's too high, go up, go down. But I think the original idea is that you can see that person and you can hold the same degree of that position, but because of the phone, you need another hand to hold it. And the
Yeah.
position, especially doing the aesthetics signature learning or like a signature move learning, it requires the person to be hands free. So what
Yeah.
do you see this types of like a position? Let's say you have a iPad or iPhone and you are fixing the car, right? And how can you even, or you need an easel to do that and look at that? And how can you even, for example, like if you wanna do some movement and just one person, how can this even be? Because you need to do this thing, or you need an easel and put the phone on top of it so you see you and the phone, and later on the hand need to be like in this position, otherwise it
Yeah.
won't even be done, because for example, you can see the overlay or feedback on the phone, but if you are so far away from your phone you couldn't even see it. There must be another person or something to tell you. So how can you solve this types of problem?
Well, there are problems and problems. It's like not everything has the same solution, but for example, when there is a person very far and needs feedback,
Mm,
maybe instead of providing visual feedback, you can provide audio feedback. for
Mm-hmm.
example. And then of course using phone holders or iPad holders and such could solve the issue, so you can be always hands free, or placing smart glasses
Mm-hmm.
that then you are hands free
Yeah.
by design. So yeah, but it really depends. It's not always the best solution, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So I think glass might serve really nicely. For example, like I make novelty instant expert just do in like for example, like in Tesla factory. You can see and hear the instruction for the newbies to learn how to fix the car. And there's an expert or AI can be, instructors to teach how to do it through a smartphone. So I think this might be another good way to implement it.
Yeah, correct.
Cool. Okay, so what do you see that, for example, like the hand tracking for learning and healthcare?
Yes, I think these are ideal use cases, especially when it comes to healthcare in the part of physical rehabilitation.
Hmm,
There are many hand surgeries and such that require the patient to go and do some treatment or the recovery part in the visiting the nurse or the doctor, which wastes time from everyone and such, when you could have, while you could have an application that is capable to track your hands
hmm,
and understand how much you are able to extend your fingers and such, and tell you what is your progress from the beginning and such. So this could be some sort of AI assisted activities where the phone and the hand tracking can be very helpful in that sense.
I see.
And when it comes to the learning, it's also,
Mm,
I would say, especially AR and
mm,
with the hand is so you can interact with whatever digital twins you are seeing.
mm,
It becomes more remarkable because it's closer to reality and therefore more exciting. It's totally new. It's a new experience. So I think there are definitely benefits.
mm. I
But I would
see.
say there are more in
Mm,
that sense. A lot of people, but where do you see XR in the smartphones? And it's like, well, of course, the benefit is that you can deploy into everyone's device today. And then, okay, but how do you use it? Okay, you can, for example, when
mm,
I was a kid, I saw my brother. He was a goalkeeper and
mm,
he was ordering gloves from very
mm,
far.
mm,
And then when they arrived, he was disappointed because they didn't look good on his hand. So it's
mm,
like, okay, imagine you just do like this with your smartphone and you swipe and change. You can customize the gloves.
mm,
Same for rings and the bracelets, watches, and all of that. They can be placed in your hands. You can try it at home before you actually order it,
mm.
reducing the impact of sending back the products if they are not happy with them and such.
Yeah, yeah, I do see like the value for example, like Amazon, right? Amazon has an app. I remember a long time ago, I want to buy a shelf, bookshelf. And I have a room, and I'm always worried about, hey, is this like cover my window or low,
Mm.
higher or lower?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
looking at 2D picture, I couldn't understand. But I
yeah.
think that by placing the virtual object real place in your room, you can see how big or how small,
Mm.
like how which one you should buy. So I think that
Yeah.
really, really helps.
I have another use case that I just came up with.
Mm,
When my daughter she buys, or I buy the Kinder Surprise egg, it
mm,
comes with the little toy, right?
yeah.
And now Kinder Surprise has an application which
Huh.
is called Play-Doh.
Mm,
So when you look at the toy with the phone
mm,
through the camera,
mm,
it becomes an animated character.
mm,
And
mm,
the first thing that she always tries to do is to put her hand
mm.
to see if the toy comes. So
Oh.
just imagine you are able to provide such experience where you just place your hand there and the
Mm,
toy comes and lands in your hand and it
mm,
adds to your gestures.
mm.
That's what we call digital marketing and or advanced AR marketing,
Huh.
and that creates an experience that is highly remarkable for those who use it.
Oh, I see.
Um,
So I do see that the value for the AR, and also what do you see the gesture and AI? What's the kind of like benefits that AI can help kind of like a XR gesture position, that types of the combination
There.
of AI XR. Yeah.
Mm. So there are multiple ways. One is, as we mentioned before, being an AI assistant. For
Mm,
example, you have to perform certain tasks, even in an order or a complex task. When you
mm,
have tons of small devices and you don't know if you are touching the right one, you can always point, and AI will assist you and help you on the tasks. But other could be understanding how humans behave, to understand the ergonomics and see if you are doing the same thing too many times. It could
mm,
be bad for your hands, therefore you should rest. So taking care of the human
mm.
in that sense. So understanding more to be used for the benefit of the human. That can be also very interesting.
Interesting. So, what you mentioned is that AI can really helps like identify those like gestures and also help predictions and also helps to facilitate or accelerate the
Mm,
like a spatial recognition and kind
yeah.
of adding up the correct rate or like a uh, probability rate to kind of measure and
Mm,
give the right feedback for the
mm,
gestures. Um,
yes.
yeah, so what do you see, let's say, haptics? Because you mentioned that, for example, like a gesture, position, and haptics. Yeah, and also eye gazing and more like I would say natural interface, which is like an invisible interface. Before we need to have like a screen, menu, buttons, but now it becomes part of the behavior continuations to trigger and also made a command for the device to understand what we are intend to. So with AI, what do you see that, for example, haptics? Any other interesting perspective on all those like different,
Mm,
I would say, combination and with the haptics, how can we kind of make this as a pretty interesting new futuristic interface, invisible
yeah.
interface. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to haptics and hand tracking, it's a
Mm,
little bit difficult because
mm,
we aim at interacting with your bare hands. That
mm,
means that there is nothing in your hands
mm,
to be able to feel anything. And that's probably one of the main drawbacks in that sense. If you want to feel something, you would need some sort of gloves with some haptics devices in the hands.
mm,
So what we actually say is that instead of thinking in those kind of haptic feedback, you have to think more on increasing the fidelity
mm,
of the audio and provide better details on visual feedback. Maybe spend more time in doing those and making sure that the user feels that you have touch and done that action in a much more yeah, understanding better that you have done. I'm not sure if I'm explaining myself, but you have to spend more time providing the right feedback rather than when you would have some gloves that would like give you the feedback, haptic feedback. Yeah, you have to spend more time in the audio and the visuals. That's the
mm.
short message.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you see, for example, like we talk a lot of like tracking, right? And also phone device. And what do you see, for example, like education, right? Education in XR and AI. What do you see this part helps the kind of like a facilitate education?
Yes, we have had several prototypes where we could use smartphones to help people remotely to learn about how to do certain operations,
Mm,
surgeries, learn about which tools they need to use. And basically, everything boils down to try virtually the surgery you're gonna do before you actually face the patient for real. So it's
mm,
about simulation.
mm,
And that's where AI and XR are good at. And
mm,
then, of course, depending on the computational capabilities of the smartphone,
mm,
it could be possible or not, because depending on how much detail you actually need to
mm,
render, then you will
mm,
have enough computation in the device. But then there are other aspects that play a role, which if you have remote collaboration, you need a good connection,
mm,
so the latency is not that big,
mm.
and so on. But it is possible, and we have done several prototypes of that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, um, what's the one thing you still like to share that we haven't touched on yet?
Yeah. Well, we touch a little bit on the prediction
Mm,
part before.
mm,
So our vision is to predict human intent.
mm,
It doesn't matter if it is in XR or in other areas. Actually,
mm,
we see that our technology has endless use cases.
mm,
Of course, we started as an XR company.
mm,
But now, especially after COVID times, we
mm,
had to downscale the company. We were isolated in Sweden, didn't have a good time at all,
mm,
and we had to pivot to something else
mm,
because the volumes in XR are not there for us. Maybe they are there for the big companies, but not for us. So we ended up in doing some prototypes and products for industrial safety. Uh,
mm, mm,
there is pretty important to be accurate and to track hands.
mm,
We met several carpenters.
mm,
All of them are missing fingers. One
mm.
mistake means one fingerless. And
Wow.
that kind of problem we realize we can solve
Mm,
using our technology for prediction. We are capable to understand where the hands are and also where the hands are going in the next few milliseconds.
mm,
And that information is crucial
mm.
to avoid an accident.
Yeah.
So there is a double benefit here. You are avoiding the accident,
Mm,
and then you are also increasing the productivity of the machines because at the
mm,
same time there is no one hurt, and
mm,
the device can continue operating with increased safety. So we are deploying several of these products. We have deployed several. They are in production, and we are deploying more this year. So
mm,
we believe that yeah, thanks to our XR technology, now we are creating these kind of safety solutions, and the first one is already certified.
mm.
So it's pretty exciting, I would say.
I see. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And what do you see about like right now? You see Android XR, Apple Vision Pro, and also like a Spectacle has like a AR, and also you see like a Meta is going to launch their thing. So what do you see the entire like a XR like a device like competitor or something? And also, I remember a long time ago. I talked to like a Leap Motion, people from Leap Motion, and they do like the hand tracking, and
Mm,
they said that I remember one person told me that actually Meta Quest before they were partner, right? But now Meta became their competitor because Meta
mm,
is doing hand tracking right now. So
yeah,
what do
right.
you see? Because I remember also one of my friend is working on like some packages, SDKs for the hand tracking stuff.
Mm,
However, I remember that one was so helpful before Meta provide the free building blocks for hand tracking. But
mm,
once Meta start releasing a lot of hand tracking or template, those types of products seems start being merging. Because
mm.
you see, like if I use the SDK packages from Meta, it might be because it's from the same company, it might be more accurate. How can you compete with the big players start kind of like going to your area?
Yeah. I mean, basically, we cannot compete with them. We don't tend to compete. We try to provide either similar technology or better.
Mm,
So, for example, when we look at the Apple Vision Pro and
mm,
we see that the experience is amazing,
mm,
from the first second you already see your real hand on top of virtual content, and that
mm,
for us is the ultimate, the best immersive hand experience that you can have. You don't have that in the MetaQuest headsets, I think, or maybe
mm,
you have it in the last one.
mm,
So And we thought, okay, that's really cool.
Mm,
We have been doing this since 2018.
mm,
We actually won an award in the Augmented World Expo in
mm.
2018 as the best software interaction tool.
Wow. Mm,
So what Apple Vision Pro provides today with
mm,
8 cameras and two high-end chipsets is
mm.
what we provide in any smartphone. And our
Oh.
technology runs only on the CPU and in a regular RGB camera.
Mm,
So how are we different? Our technology is highly customizable and we don't
mm,
typically operate in closed ecosystems. So for example, you
mm.
cannot take the technology from Meta and deploy it elsewhere. I would say today's Meta's hand tracking is the best one,
Yeah.
but it has the problem that it only works in MetaQuest. We can
Oh.
make any laptop or any other device to have hand tracking capabilities. We
I
adapt
see.
our technology to any headset or any other device. There are, for
Mm,
example, 3D tablets coming to the market and such,
mm,
and we try to provide them with our solutions. So that's our advantage. We are software only,
mm.
and we can be integrated into any device.
I see.
And provide still like really advanced capabilities comparable to what Apple has today, for example.
Cool. Wow, that is amazing. Like a very focused on like the hand tracking and provide like I would say more like a plugin enhancement for other company or other product, other device to integrate. So
Mhm.
yeah, cool. So yeah, that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. We release episodes weekly. If you enjoy this conversation, check out our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Support us by giving us a follow and a 5-star rating, or subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Thank you and see you next time.